The throne room of Shadowmere Palace reeked of blood and fear. Ezra Nightwhisper pressed her forehead against the obsidian floor, her Omega designation burning like a brand on the back of her neck. Around her, the court of the Alpha King held their breath. This was supposed to be an execution, not whatever this was becoming. Please, Ezra's voice cracked, though she forced steel into it. I know I'm nothing but a rejected Omega, but I beg for mercy. Not for myself. For my younger brother. He's only 12. He had nothing to do with my father's betrayal. Above her, Alpha King Theron Darkbane sat motionless on his throne of black glass and wolf bones, the most feared Alpha in the Northern Territories, the one they called the Savage King. At 28, he'd conquered more packs than any Alpha in history. His eyes, one gold, one silver, studied the kneeling Omega with an intensity that made the air itself feel heavy. Look at me, Theron commanded, his voice a deep rumble that made every wolf in the room want to bare their throats in submission. Ezra lifted her head slowly, the execution collar around her neck, designed to suppress a wolf's power, burned against her skin. Her amethyst eyes met the king's heterochromatic ones, and for a moment, something flickered in Theron's expression. Recognition? Impossible. They'd never met before this moment. You're Ezra Nightwhisper, Theron said, not a question. Daughter of the traitor Marcus Nightwhisper who sold pack secrets to the Crimson Claw Alliance. I am? Ezra didn't flinch. And I'm also the Omega who was rejected by my own mate for being too weak, cast out by my pack for being useless, and now kneeling before you for a mercy I don't deserve. Her voice grew stronger. But my brother Finn is innocent. He's just a pup. You've already taken everything from me. My father, my pack, my future. Please don't take the only family I have left. Lady Morgana Ironcrest, the king's advisor and the most powerful female alpha in court, sneered. How touching. The rejected Omega thinks her sob story will move our king. Your father's betrayal cost us 300 warriors. Omega, your entire bloodline should be wiped out as an example. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered nobles. Ezra's hands clenched into fists against the floor, but she kept her position. She'd walked into the throne room knowing she would likely die here. But if her death could buy Finn's life... Tell me, Omega. Theron rose from his throne, his 7-foot frame casting a shadow over Ezra. What makes you think your life is worth trading for your brother's? You're rejected. No pack, no mate bond, no wolf that will answer your call. You're barely more than human. Each step Theron took echoed through the vast chamber. His dark hair fell past his shoulders, and the crown of twisted iron and wolf fangs caught the torchlight. Power radiated from him in waves that made even the strongest alphas in the room struggle to remain standing. Ezra lifted her chin, and something shifted in her purple eyes, a flash of defiance that shouldn't exist in a collared Omega facing death. You're right. I am worthless. But that's exactly why I can offer you something no one else can. Theron stopped directly in front of her. Speak carefully, Omega. Your next words will determine if you and your brother see tomorrow's sunrise. I know where the Crimson Claw Alliance plans to strike next, Ezra said, her voice carrying across the silent throne room. I know because my father wasn't the only traitor in your kingdom. And the real traitor is standing in this room right now, probably hoping you'll execute me before I can reveal the truth. Gasps erupted. Several alphas stepped forward aggressively, but Theron raised a hand, his eyes never leaving Ezra's face. That's a dangerous accusation, Omega. Lady Morgana snarled, her hand moving to the sword at her hip. The king should silence you before you speak more lies. 3 nights ago, Ezra interrupted, her voice cutting through Morgana's words. A message was sent using the old Raven Post to Crimson Claw. It contained the guard rotation for the full moon ceremony next week, when the king will be at his most vulnerable during the lunar ritual. The message was sealed with wolfsbane wax, the same kind that only someone with access to the royal armory could obtain. Theron's eyes flashed dangerously. Only his inner circle knew about the lunar ritual, a sacred ceremony where an alpha king must temporarily lower his defenses to renew his bond with the moon goddess. How could you possibly know this? Theron's voice had dropped to a lethal whisper. Ezra met his gaze steadily. Because I may be rejected and worthless, but I'm not blind or deaf. Omegas are invisible to people like you. We serve, we clean, we exist in the shadows, and shadows hear everything. She took a breath. Before my arrest, I worked in the castle's lower quarters. I saw things, heard things, things that would have gotten me killed if I'd spoken up then. Your Majesty, Lord Raziel Stormfury, the kingdom's general, stepped forward. This is clearly a desperate attempt to... Silence. Theron's command made the windows rattle. He crouched down, bringing himself to Ezra's level, and grabbed the Omega's chin roughly. If you're lying to save your worthless hide, I'll make your death last weeks. I'm not lying, Ezra said, not flinching from the painful grip. And I can prove it. The real traitor has a scar on their left wrist from a blood oath to Crimson Claw. They hide it with enchanted jewelry, but silver will reveal it. Silver always reveals a traitor's mark. The throne room erupted into chaos. Accusations flew, alphas turned on each other, and through it all, Theron kept his grip on Ezra's chin, studying her with those impossible eyes. Then something unexpected happened. Theron leaned closer, so close that only Ezra could hear his next words. I know exactly who you are, little Omega. I've been searching for you since I took the throne. Ezra's breath caught. As guards moved forward with silver shackles, Theron stood abruptly and addressed the court. The Omega's execution is postponed, he announced. She will remain in my custody while we investigate her claims. Anyone who objects can challenge me for the throne. No one moved. Theron looked down at Ezra again, and this time there was something almost like hunger in his expression. Guards, remove her execution collar and take her to the Tower of Stars. She's now under my personal protection. But Your Majesty, Lady Morgana started. Question me again, Morgana, Theron said softly, dangerously, and we'll see how well you fare against me in the challenge circle. She bowed stiffly. Of course, my king. As the guards moved to remove Ezra's collar, Theron made one final announcement that sent shockwaves through the court. And bring me silver shackles. We're about to find out which of my trusted advisors has been selling our secrets. The Omega stays at my side until we do. Ezra's lavender eyes widened as the collar fell away, and for the first time in years, she felt her wolf stir. Weak, but alive. The Alpha King had just claimed her as protected. But why did Theron say he'd been searching for her since taking the throne? The Tower of Stars wasn't a prison. It was worse. It was the Alpha King's personal wing. Ezra stood in the center of a circular chamber at the tower's peak, her wrists still raw from where the execution collar had been removed. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, all of Shadowmere stretched below, painted silver by moonlight. This was where Theron conducted his most private business, where no one entered without his explicit permission. You're not what I expected, Theron said from behind her. Ezra didn't turn. What exactly were you expecting from a rejected Omega scheduled for execution? More begging? Less strategy. Theron moved to stand beside her, his presence like a storm contained in human form. Your accusation in the throne room was calculated. You knew it would cause chaos. You wanted to see who would react. And you saw it too, Ezra said quietly. Lady Morgana's hand went to her left wrist the moment I mentioned the scar. She covered it with her sword hand. But you noticed. Theron's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Clever little Omega. But that doesn't explain how you really knew about the Raven Post or the lunar ritual. Ezra finally turned to face him and immediately wished she hadn't. This close, without the performance of the throne room, Theron was devastating. Power rolled off him in waves, but there was something else. Something that made Ezra's dormant wolf whimper with recognition. You said you've been searching for me since you took the throne, Ezra deflected. Why would the Alpha King search for a nobody Omega? You're not nobody. Theron reached out, his fingers ghosting over a faint birthmark on Ezra's neck, just below her hairline. The touch sent electricity through Ezra's entire body. You're the lost phoenix. Ezra jerked back. That's impossible. The phoenix bloodline died out a generation ago. Did it? Theron's heterochromatic eyes gleamed. Or did a frightened Omega mother hide her daughter among common folk, disguising her as ordinary to protect her from those who would use her power? I don't have any power, Ezra said, but her voice shook. I'm rejected. My wolf barely. Your wolf isn't weak, Theron interrupted. It's suppressed. There's a difference. He pulled something from his pocket, a vial of silvery liquid that seemed to pulse with its own light. Phoenix wolves can't be destroyed, only hidden. This is moon water from the sacred falls. One drop, and your true nature will begin to surface. Why would you want that? Ezra backed toward the door but found it locked. If I really am what you say, which I'm not, wouldn't that make me a threat to you? On the contrary. Theron advanced slowly, like a predator who knew his prey had nowhere to run. A Phoenix Omega is the only wolf capable of producing an heir strong enough to hold the northern territories after I'm gone. Every Alpha King needs a Luna. When I learned of the prophecy 7 years ago, right after I took the throne, I began searching for you. Ezra's heart stopped. You want me to be your... But I'm rejected. I can't form a mate bond. My original mate broke. Your original mate was an idiot who couldn't sense what you really were, Theron said flatly. And his rejection might have actually saved your life. If he'd completed the bond, your phoenix nature would have burned him alive. Phoenix wolves can only mate with someone strong enough to withstand their fire. The room suddenly felt too small, the air too thin. Ezra's mind raced, trying to process everything while fighting the insane pull she felt toward the dangerous alpha before her. This is insane, Ezra said. Even if any of this were true, why would I agree to... A knock at the door interrupted her. Your Majesty, came a guard's voice. We have a situation. The Omega's brother is missing from protective custody. Ezra's blood turned to ice. Finn, what do you mean missing? Theron's expression darkened to something truly terrifying. He yanked the door open. Explain. Now. The guard bowed low. The safe house was compromised 20 minutes ago, Your Majesty. 3 guards dead. The boy taken. We found this. He handed Theron a piece of parchment. Written in blood was a simple message. The Omega for the pup. Midnight. Crystal Grove. Come alone, or the boy burns. Ezra snatched the note, her hands trembling. No, no, no. This is Morgana, isn't it? She took him because I exposed her. Most likely, Theron said, his voice deadly calm. Crystal Grove is neutral territory. She thinks she's being clever. He turned to the guard. Mobilize the... No. Ezra grabbed Theron's arm, then immediately released it when the Alpha's power flared. Please, the note says alone. If you send an army, she'll kill him. I'll go. I'll trade myself. You'll do no such thing. Theron's eyes flashed. You're under my protection. He's my brother. Ezra's desperation broke through. He's 12 years old and terrified, and this is happening because of me. I won't let him die for my choices. Her purple eyes blazed with determination. You can't stop me? Can't I? Theron moved faster than Ezra could track, pinning her against the window. You seem to forget what I am, little phoenix. And you seem to forget that I'm not yours to command. Ezra shot back, surprising them both with her defiance. You want me to be your Luna? To trust you with whatever truth you think I am? Then prove you're different from every other alpha who's tried to control me. Help me save my brother. For a long moment they stared at each other, the air between them electric with tension. Then, unexpectedly, Theron stepped back. You're going to get us both killed, he said, but there was something almost like admiration in his tone. Fine. We go to Crystal Grove, but we do this my way. He pulled a hidden blade from his boot and cut his palm, letting blood drip onto the moonwater vial. The liquid turned deep crimson. Drink this, he commanded. If you really are the lost phoenix, it will give you enough power to survive what's coming. If you're not, he shrugged. Then it won't matter, because Morgana will kill us both anyway. Ezra took the vial with shaking hands. What aren't you telling me? Theron's expression was grim. Crystal Grove isn't just neutral territory, it's where the old gods sleep. And on a night like tonight, with blood moon rising, he moved toward his weapons wall. Something tells me Morgana isn't planning a simple exchange. As Ezra lifted the vial to her lips, one thought echoed through her mind. What have I gotten myself into? Crystal Grove existed between worlds, a place where ancient magic still breathed through every tree, where moonlight fell like liquid silver through leaves that never died. Ezra's entire body burned from the inside out. The mixture of moonwater and Theron's blood had set something alive within her, something wild and powerful that had been sleeping her entire life. Her amethyst eyes now held flecks of gold, and her skin emanated a faint warmth that made the frost-covered ground steam beneath her feet. Stay behind me, Theron commanded as they entered the grove. He'd changed from his royal attire into battle leathers, twin swords strapped to his back. And whatever happens, don't let Morgana see what's happening to you. Bit late for that, Ezra gasped, doubling over as another wave of transformation hit her. It feels like I'm burning alive. You are, Theron said matter-of-factly. Phoenix resurrection is literal. Your old wolf has to die for your true one to rise. Try not to scream. It'll give away our position. Through the pain, Ezra managed to glare at him. You could have mentioned that before I drank it. Would you have changed your mind? No. Then what difference would it make? Theron suddenly stopped, raising his hand. We're not alone. The grove erupted into silver light. Dozens of figures emerged from behind the ancient trees, all wearing crimson claw armor. At the grove's heart beside the moonstone altar stood Lady Morgana Ironcrest. Next to her, bound and gagged, was Finn. Ezra's brother looked so small, so terrified. His eyes widened when he saw Ezra trying to call out through the gag. Right on time, Morgana purred, her scarred wrist now proudly displayed, the traitor's mark glowing red against her skin. The fallen king and his worthless Omega. 50 warriors for a child exchange? Theron's voice was casual, almost bored. Nervous, Morgana. Cautious, she corrected. You see, I've known what the little Omega was since the moment her father brought her to Shadowmere. Marcus Nightwhisper wasn't just a traitor, he was a treasure hunter. He discovered the truth about his adopted daughter's heritage and was trying to sell her to the highest bidder when you caught him. Ezra's world shifted. My father? Knew? Oh yes, Morgana laughed, the sound sharp as breaking glass. He knew he'd found the lost phoenix. Do you know what phoenix blood can do, little Omega? The myths say it can grant immortality. It can break any curse. It can even... She smiled viciously. Kill an alpha king who's supposed to be invincible. Is that your plan? Theron asked, his muscles coiling with barely contained violence. Kill me and take my throne? Eventually. But first, I need the Omega to complete her transformation. A dormant phoenix is useless, but one in full resurrection, at the moment when the old wolf dies and the new one is born. She pulled out a crystalline dagger that pulsed with dark energy. That's when the blood is most potent. One cut at the right moment and I'll have enough phoenix blood to make myself unstoppable. There's just one problem with your plan, Theron said, and Ezra heard something dangerous in his tone, not anger, but anticipation. You assume I came here to negotiate. The grove exploded into violence. Theron moved like liquid death, his twin swords singing through the air. 3 Crimson Claw warriors fell before anyone could react. But more kept coming, and even the Alpha King couldn't fight 50 alone. Ezra tried to help, but her body betrayed her. The transformation was accelerating, dropping her to her knees. Her vision blurred between normal sight and something else, something that showed her threads of power connecting every living thing in the grove. Ezra! Finn's muffled scream cut through everything. Morgana had the crystal dagger at his throat. Stop fighting, or the pup dies, she commanded. Theron froze mid-strike, a warrior's blade an inch from his neck. His dual-colored eyes found Ezra's. Don't, he said quietly. Whatever she wants, don't. Let him go, Ezra gasped, struggling to her feet. The burning was getting worse, but she forced herself to move forward. You want phoenix blood? Take mine. Just let my brother go. Ezra, no! Theron snarled, but 6 warriors restrained him, forcing him to his knees. Morgana's eyes gleamed with triumph. Come closer, little phoenix, kneel before me, and I might make this quick. Each step was agony. Ezra could feel her wolf dying, clawing desperately for life as something else fought to be born. She collapsed at Morgana's feet, her body shaking. Perfect, Morgana breathed, raising the dagger. At the moment of death and rebirth, you'll give me everything. But as the blade descended, Ezra's hand shot up and caught it. The crystal dagger shattered in her grip. Impossible, Morgana gasped. Ezra raised her head, and her eyes were no longer violet. They were pure, burning gold. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that shouldn't exist in a single throat. You're right about Phoenix Resurrection, she said, standing slowly. The ropes holding Finn disintegrated at her touch. But you're wrong about when we're most vulnerable. Power exploded from Ezra in a wave of silver fire. It didn't burn Finn or Theron, but every Crimson Claw warrior it touched screamed and fell. Morgana herself was thrown back, her left arm blackened where the fire had touched her. We're not most vulnerable at the moment of transformation, Ezra continued, her skin now literally glowing with inner fire. We're most dangerous, because for just a few minutes, we exist as both. Omega and Phoenix, mortal and eternal, dying and being reborn. She walked toward Morgana, who scrambled backward in terror. Behind her, enormous wings of pure flame unfurled, not physical, but visible to everyone, a manifestation of raw power. You wanted Phoenix blood? Ezra asked softly. Let me show you what Phoenix blood really does. She bit her own palm and let 3 drops of blood fall onto the ground. Where they landed, the earth cracked and burned. Flowers of silver fire sprouted and grew, spreading outward in a circle that trapped Morgana inside. The myths are wrong. Phoenix blood doesn't grant immortality through consumption, Ezra explained, her voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge she shouldn't possess. It reveals truth. Your truth, Lady Morgana Ironcrest. Show everyone what you really are. Morgana screamed as her body began to change, her elegant features twisted, revealing something monstrous beneath. Scales and fangs and eyes that belonged to no wolf. Demon-touched, Theron breathed in shock. You made a deal with the abyss. To destroy you, Morgana snarled through her transforming mouth. The Northern Territories should be mine. I was the strongest, the smartest, but you took everything. No, Theron said, rising as his captors fled in terror. You destroyed yourself the moment you chose jealousy over honor. The silver fire was consuming Morgana now, her demonic nature unable to withstand Phoenix flame. Her death triggered a final curse she'd woven into her own blood, a dark magic that would activate upon her demise. With a final shriek, she dissolved into ash that scattered on the wind. Silence fell over Crystal Grove. Then Ezra collapsed. Theron caught her before she hit the ground, cradling the trembling Omega against his chest. You magnificent, reckless fool, he murmured. You could have killed yourself. Finn, Ezra whispered, struggling to focus. Is he? I'm okay, Finn said, throwing himself at his sister, tears streaming down his young face. Ezra, you have wings. Fire wings. That was amazing and terrifying and… Shh. Ezra managed to smile, ruffling her brother's hair weakly. You're safe. That's all that matters. Not all, Theron corrected, his arms tightening around Ezra. You just revealed yourself as the lost phoenix to 50 enemy warriors. Every alpha in the territories will come for you now. Ezra looked up at him, exhausted but defiant. Then I guess you'll have to protect me, Your Majesty. For the first time since Ezra had met him, Theron truly smiled, a real, genuine expression that transformed his harsh features. I guess I will, little phoenix. I guess I will. As Theron carried her from the grove, Finn chattering excitedly at their side, Ezra let herself drift towards unconsciousness with one lingering thought. She wasn't just a rejected Omega anymore. But what exactly had she become? Ezra woke to find herself in a bed that could fit 10 people, surrounded by black silk sheets that probably cost more than her family's entire house had been worth. Every muscle in her body ached with a deep, bone-weary pain that reminded her she'd literally died and been reborn last night. Finally awake, little phoenix? She turned her head to find Theron sitting in a chair beside the bed, looking like he hadn't moved in hours. Dark circles shadowed his unique eyes, and his usually perfect hair was disheveled. Did you stay here all night? Ezra asked, her voice rough. You stopped breathing 3 times, Theron said simply. Phoenix resurrection doesn't always take on the first try. Sometimes the old wolf fights too hard to die. Ezra tried to sit up and immediately regretted it when the room spun. Where's Finn? Asleep in the adjoining suite, guarded by my personal warriors. He refused to leave until about an hour ago when exhaustion finally won. Theron stood, moving to pour water from a crystal pitcher. He thinks you're the greatest hero in the realm now. Keeps telling everyone his sister has fire wings. Everyone? Ezra accepted the water gratefully. How many people know? By now, probably half the kingdom. Theron's expression was grim. The Crimson Claw survivors scattered to the 4 winds with the story. An Omega Phoenix hasn't been seen in 300 years. You're about to become either the most coveted or most hunted wolf in existence. Wonderful. Ezra set down the glass and really looked at Theron for the first time. Why do you care? Really? And don't give me that air nonsense. You could have any Omega in the realm. Theron was quiet for so long Ezra thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, do you know what my designation was supposed to be? Ezra frowned. You're an alpha, the strongest one alive. Now I am. Theron moved to the window, his back to Ezra. But I was born an Omega. My father, the previous Alpha King, was so disgusted that he paid a witch to perform a designation reversal ritual when I was 3 years old. Ezra's breath caught. Designation reversal was forbidden magic, so dangerous that most who attempted it died screaming. It worked, Theron continued, his voice emotionless. I became an alpha, the strongest alpha. But the ritual came with a price. The witch told my father that I would be the most powerful alpha king who ever lived, but I would never be able to produce an heir unless I found my true mate. Another wolf who had undergone an impossible transformation. A wolf reborn. A phoenix, Ezra whispered. The witch saw you in a vision. Theron turned back to her. A violet-eyed Omega who would burn and rise again. She said our children would unite the fractured territories and bring 1,000 years of peace. My father laughed, said it was worth never having grandchildren if it meant I wouldn't produce weak Omega offspring. Your father sounds like a monster. He was. Theron's smile was sharp. That's why I killed him when I was 16. The door burst open, interrupting Ezra's response. Your Majesty, a guard said urgently. Lord Magnus Bloodcrown of the Southern Territories requests an urgent audience. He says it concerns the Phoenix. Theron's expression darkened. Of course he does. To Ezra, get dressed. If Magnus is here, others won't be far behind. Who is Magnus Bloodcrown? The Alpha of the Southern Territories. And my cousin, distant, but he's been claiming rights to my throne since I took it. His grandmother and mine were sisters. As Ezra dressed in the elegant clothes Theron had provided, clearly worth a fortune, she asked, Did you kill his sister too? No, Magnus is an only child, though I did kill his intended mate 2 years ago. Theron's voice was flat. She was poisoning my food slowly, trying to weaken me enough for Magnus to challenge me. I simply let her drink from the wrong cup one evening. That's cold. That's survival. Theron stepped closer, adjusting Ezra's collar with surprising gentleness. Something you'll need to learn quickly. Being my Luna means being a target. I haven't agreed to be your Luna, Ezra reminded him, though her body betrayed her by leaning into Theron's touch. Haven't you? Theron's thumb traced Ezra's jaw. Your phoenix chose me the moment you drank my blood. You can feel it, can't you? The pull between us? She could. It was like gravity, drawing her toward Theron with a force that terrified and thrilled her equally. Another knock, more urgent. Your Majesty, Lord Bloodcrown insists. Tell Lord Bloodcrown he can wait, Theron snarled, his alpha voice making the windows rattle. Then, quieter, to Ezra. There's something else you should know. Now that your phoenix has awakened, you'll start manifesting abilities. Visions, perhaps. The power to heal. Your power will be unstable at first, unpredictable. It may surge when you least expect it. Ezra gasped as the world suddenly shifted. She was no longer in the bedroom but standing in the throne room, watching as Magnus Bloodcrown drew a hidden blade, watching as it plunged toward Theron's back, watching as... Ezra! Theron's voice pulled her back. She was on the floor, Theron's arms around her. What did you see? Magnus, Ezra gasped. He's not here to negotiate. He's here to kill you. During the audience, when you turn to address the court, he has a blade, poisoned with wolfsbane and silver. Theron's eyes flashed dangerously. You saw this? Clearly? Like I was there. Phoenix foresight, Theron murmured, something like awe in his voice. You can see potential futures. He stood, pulling Ezra up with him. Come. Let's greet Lord Bloodcrown, but stay close to me. The throne room was packed. Word of the Phoenix had indeed spread, and every noble within traveling distance had come to see if the rumors were true. Magnus Bloodcrown stood at the center, tall and golden-haired, with the kind of classical beauty that made Omegas swoon. Theron, Magnus said, deliberately omitting the title. I hear you've found yourself a new toy. Lord Bloodcrown. Theron's voice was deadly civil as he took his throne. I hear you've found yourself a death wish. Magnus laughed. Come now, we're all friends here. I simply wanted to meet the famous Phoenix Omega. Though I must say, his eyes raked over Ezra insultingly. She doesn't look like much, rather scrawny for breeding stock. Ezra felt Theron's rage like a physical thing, but she stepped forward before the Alpha King could respond. Lord Bloodcrown, she said, her voice carrying surprising authority. I'm curious about something. The blade hidden in your left boot. Is it the same one you used to murder your intended mate? Or did you purchase a new one special for today? The throne room went death silent. Magnus's handsome face twisted. How dare you? I dare because I see, Ezra interrupted, her eyes beginning to glow gold. I see you poisoning her tea because she discovered your alliance with Crimson Claw. I see you planning to blame her death on Theron to gain sympathy and allies. I see you here now, waiting for the moment to strike. Lies! Magnus snarled, but his hand moved toward his boot. Then prove it, Ezra challenged. Remove your boots before the court. Show everyone there's no blade. I don't take orders from Omega whores. He never finished the sentence. Theron moved faster than lightning, his hand around Magnus's throat, lifting him off the ground. Say that word again, Theron said softly, and I'll tear your tongue out and feed it to you. Your Majesty, Lord Raziel Stormfury stepped forward carefully. Perhaps Lord Bloodcrown should indeed remove his boots, to clear his name. Theron dropped Magnus, who gasped for air. You heard my general. Boots off. Now. Magnus looked around the throne room, finding no allies. Slowly, he reached for his boot. The blade fell out, clattering on the obsidian floor. Its silver surface was etched with runes, and the wolfsbane coating made several wolves step back from the smell. Seize him, Theron commanded. As guards grabbed Magnus, he spat toward Ezra. You think you've won? You're nothing but a half-dead Omega playing with power you don't understand. When the other Alphas come for you, and they will, Theron won't be able to protect you. You'll burn, Phoenix. You'll burn until there's nothing left but ash. Perhaps, Ezra said, stepping closer to Theron's throne, but you'll be dead long before then. Theron smiled, cold and satisfied. Take him to the dungeons. We'll have a public execution tomorrow. Let everyone see what happens to those who threaten what's mine. As Magnus was dragged away, screaming curses, Theron pulled Ezra against his side. Mine? Ezra questioned quietly. Problem with that designation? Ezra thought about it, about the pull between them, about the vision that had just saved Theron's life, about the way her phoenix sang when Theron touched her. Ask me again after we survive whatever's coming, she said finally, because Magnus was right about one thing. Others will come. Theron's grip tightened possessively. Let them come. They'll learn what happens when someone tries to take a phoenix from a dragon. Dragons are myths, Ezra pointed out. Theron's smile was all teeth. So were Phoenix Omegas. Until yesterday. The executions were supposed to be simple. Magnus Bloodcrown at dawn, a clean beheading for treason. But as Ezra stood on the palace balcony beside Theron, watching the crowd gather in the courtyard below, her phoenix stirred with unease. Something's wrong, she murmured. Theron's hand found her lower back, a touch that had become familiar over the past 3 days. Another vision? Not exactly. Just a feeling. Ezra's skin prickled with warning. There are too many strangers in the crowd. Wolves? I don't recognize. You've been in the palace less than a week, General Raziel pointed out from Theron's other side. You wouldn't recognize most of our people. But Theron was already scanning the crowd with sharp eyes. No, she's right. Those cloaks, they're hiding scents. He turned to Raziel. Double the guard. Now. A voice rang out from below, interrupting Raziel's movement. I invoke the right of challenge. The crowd parted, revealing three figures Ezra had never seen before. The one who'd spoken was a massive alpha with scarred arms and eyes like chips of ice. Behind him stood at least 30 warriors. "I am Lord Victor Frostbane of the Eastern Reaches," the scarred alpha announced, "and these are Lord Draven Nightshade of the Western Forests and Garrett Ironfang of the River Territories." Ezra's blood froze at the last name. Garrett, her original mate. The alpha who had rejected her 3 years ago for being too weak. "Hello, Ezra," Garrett said, his familiar green eyes finding Ezra's across the distance. "Surprised to see me?" "You rejected her?" Theron snarled, his control slipping for the first time. "You have no claim." "Ah, but I never completed the rejection ritual," Garrett said smoothly. "Technically, our bond was never fully severed. I've come to correct my mistake." Victor stepped forward. "By ancient law, any alpha of royal or noble blood can challenge for the right to claim an unmated phoenix. You've taken this omega without offering the traditional selection. We demand satisfaction." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Selections, ritualized competitions where alphas fought for the right to claim rare omegas, hadn't been held in decades. "The old laws state that a Phoenix Omega must be given the choice of 3 alphas," Victor continued. "You've denied that choice, Theron. Unless you face challengers in the Circle of Bones, your claim is invalid." "You want to fight me for her?" Theron asked, his voice deadly soft. "Not just you," Victor smiled coldly. "By law, all challengers fight simultaneously in the Circle. You against the 3 of us." "You have 1 hour to decide," Garrett announced. "Face us in the Circle, or surrender the Phoenix to a proper selection where she can choose freely." Back in the throne room, Theron paced like a caged predator while his advisors argued. "You can't fight 3 alphas at once," Raziel was saying. "Even you have limits." "Then I'll fight them one at a time," Theron snapped. "That's not how the Circle works," Lord Stormfury reminded him. "All challengers fight simultaneously. It's meant to prevent favoritism." "This is my fault," Ezra said quietly, and everyone turned to look at her. "If I hadn't revealed myself as a phoenix—" "You saved my life," Theron interrupted. "And Finn's. Don't you dare apologize for that." "There is another option," Finn said from the doorway, looking far too serious for a 12-year-old. "I've been reading the old laws in the library." "Finn, this isn't—" Ezra started. "The Phoenix can refuse all challengers," Finn continued, "if they're willing to undergo the Trial of Flames. It's a test of worth. If the Phoenix passes, they can choose their own alpha without challenge. If they fail," he swallowed, "they burn from the inside out." Silence fell over the room. "Absolutely not," Theron said flatly. "It's my choice, isn't it?" Ezra stood, her decision already made. "I won't have you fighting 3 alphas because of me, and I won't be given to someone like a prize. The Trial of Flames has killed every phoenix who attempted it in the last 500 years," Theron said, his voice strained. "I won't lose you to ancient stupidity." "You won't lose me." Ezra stepped closer to him, close enough that only Theron could hear her next words. "My phoenix chose you, remember? It won't let me fail." Ezra dash. "Trust me," Ezra whispered, "the way I trusted you with my brother's life." Theron's jaw clenched, but after a long moment, he nodded. An hour later, they stood in the Circle of Bones, an ancient arena built into the courtyard center. Victor, Draven, and Garrett waited on one side. The entire kingdom seemed to have gathered to watch. "I invoke the Trial of Flames," Ezra announced, her voice carrying clearly. "I refuse all challengers and submit myself to the ancient test." Victor laughed. "Fool Omega, you'll be dead within minutes." "Perhaps," Ezra said, meeting Garrett's eyes, "but I'd rather burn free than live caged." The ritual keepers brought forth an obsidian brazier filled with silver flames, phoenix fire, kept burning for 1,000 years. The trial was simple. Put your hand in the flames and hold it there while reciting the oath of choosing. If you were worthy, the flames would mark you but not burn. If not, you don't have to do this, Garrett called out, and for a moment he almost sounded like the Alpha Ezra had once loved. I know I hurt you, but we could try again. I'm stronger now, strong enough to handle what you are. That's the problem, Ezra said, rolling up her sleeve. You think I need someone strong enough to handle me. But Theron? She glanced at the Alpha King. He thinks I'm strong enough to stand beside him. Without hesitation, Ezra plunged her hand into the silver flames. The pain was immediate and absolute. Every nerve screamed, every instinct demanded she pull back. But Ezra held firm and began to speak. I am Phoenix, born of flame and ash. I choose not with the weakness of need, but with the strength of want. I claim my right to decide my own fate, to bond with whom my fire calls to burn for love, not law. The flames climbed up her arm, wreathing her entire body. The crowd gasped, some turning away, unable to watch. But Ezra didn't burn. Instead, she began to glow. The silver flames turned gold, then white, then a color that had no name. When she pulled her hand from the brazier, a mark remained on her palm, a phoenix rising from flames, etched in what looked like liquid starlight. Impossible, Victor breathed. Ezra turned to face the three challengers, and when she smiled, there was something ancient and dangerous in it. I am Ezra Nightwhisper, the Phoenix Reborn. I have passed the trial of flames. By ancient law, I choose my own mate. She walked past Victor, who stepped back involuntarily, past Draven, who bowed his head in respect, past Garrett, who reached for her with desperate eyes. Ezra stopped in front of Theron and held out her marked hand. I choose the Alpha King who searched for me since learning of the prophecy, who killed his own father rather than remain twisted by dark magic, who stayed by my bed when I stopped breathing, who trusted me with his darkest truths, who offered to fight 3 alphas rather than see me claimed by another. Theron took her hand without hesitation, and where their skin touched, light exploded. The bond snapped into place with an audible crack, making every wolf in the vicinity bare their necks in submission. I choose you, Theron Darkbane, Ezra said, her voice carrying the weight of destiny. Not because I have to, but because my phoenix recognized its dragon the moment we met. And in that moment, with the bond singing between them and the mark of the phoenix glowing on her palm, Ezra felt complete for the first time in her life. The bond was 3 days old when everything went to hell. Ezra woke to Finn's scream and the smell of blood. She was out of bed and running before her conscious mind caught up, her phoenix already manifesting as wings of flame around her shoulders. The guest suite where Finn stayed was destroyed. Furniture overturned, claw marks on the walls, and in the center. No, Ezra breathed. Finn lay unconscious, blood seeping from gashes on his chest. Standing over him, covered in that same blood, was General Raziel Stormfury. It's not what it looks like, Raziel said, but his claws were still extended, still dripping red. Rage like nothing Ezra had ever felt consumed her. Her phoenix exploded outward, slamming Raziel into the wall with enough force to crack stone. You touched my brother? Ezra, wait. But Ezra wasn't listening. The phoenix had taken over, protective fury overriding all reason. She pinned Raziel by the throat, flames licking at the general's skin. Ezra, stop. Theron's command voice filled the room, but even that barely penetrated the phoenix's rage. Let him go. Now. He hurt Finn. Look closer, Theron said, and something in his tone made Ezra pause. Look at the wounds. Ezra looked. The gashes on Finn's chest were already healing, too fast for normal wounds. And the pattern. Demon marks, Theron said grimly. Your brother was possessed. Raziel just saved his life by forcing the demon out. The phoenix's rage faltered. Ezra released Raziel, who slumped against the wall, gasping. Possessed? How? Morgana's death-triggered curse, Raziel wheezed. She wove dark magic into her own blood, designed to activate when she died. I was doing my rounds when I sensed demonic energy. If I hadn't intervened. Ezra fell to her knees beside Finn, her hands glowing with phoenix fire as she poured healing energy into her brother. I'm sorry, Raziel, I thought. You thought I was hurting your family, Raziel said, no judgment in his tone. I would have done the same. Finn's eyes fluttered open, and the first thing he said was, Ezra? There was a voice in my head. It wanted me to hurt you. Shh. Ezra pulled him close. You're safe now. But Theron's expression was dark. This was a test. Someone wanted to see how you'd react to a threat. And now they know. You'll choose your brother over anything else, even over reasoning. A slow clap echoed from the doorway. Victor Frostbane stood there smiling. Brilliant deduction, cousin. Though I must say, the Phoenix's protective instincts are even stronger than I anticipated. How did you get in here? Theron snarled. Your security has gaps, Victor said casually. Especially when the guards are distracted by demon possessions. Did you know that Morgana's death curse can be triggered remotely? All you need is someone who knew her blood magic intimately. You worked with her? Ezra rose, phoenix fire building around her. Briefly, before she became too unstable. Victor's smile widened. But I learned enough. You see, little Phoenix, your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. Your love for your brother, your bond with Theron, they make you predictable, controllable. Get out, Theron commanded, before I tear you apart. I'm leaving, Victor said, still smiling. But consider this a warning. The Eastern Reaches don't recognize your claim, Trial of Flames or not. And we're not alone. Half the territories think a Phoenix Omega is too valuable to belong to one Alpha. War is coming, Theron. The only question is whether you'll sacrifice your kingdom for your Luna, or your Luna for your kingdom. He vanished into the shadows, leaving only the lingering scent of winter frost. We need to increase security, Raziel said immediately. If he can get in once? He wanted us to know he could get in, Theron interrupted. This is psychological warfare. He wants us paranoid, jumping at shadows. Maybe we should be, Ezra said quietly. She was still holding Finn, who had fallen back asleep against her shoulder. He's right about one thing. I am your weakness now. No, Theron said firmly. You're my strength. The bond makes us both stronger. Does it? Or does it just give our enemies more ways to hurt us? Another guard burst in, interrupting their debate. Your Majesties, Eastern and Southern armies are mobilizing. Our scouts report at least 3,000 warriors marching north. 3,000? Raziel paled. We have maybe half that ready to deploy immediately. Then we call our allies, Theron said. What allies? Raziel asked. Victor has been spreading gold and promises throughout the territories. Half our supposed allies are waiting to see who wins before choosing sides. Then we make new allies, Ezra said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. The wandering packs, the rogues and outcasts who belong to no territory. Promise them land and legitimacy in exchange for fighting with us. Rogues, Raziel scoffed. They're criminals and exiles. So was I once, Ezra reminded him. A rejected Omega with no pack. Sometimes the outcasts make the strongest warriors because they have the most to prove. Theron considered this. It's risky. But we need numbers. He turned to Raziel. Send envoys to the wandering packs. Offer them full citizenship and land grants if they fight for us. And if Victor attacks before they respond? Then we hold, Theron said grimly. We have the fortress advantage. That night, as they prepared for siege, Ezra found herself on the palace's highest tower, looking out at the fires of the approaching army. They'd be here by dawn. You're thinking about running, Theron said from behind her. Ezra didn't deny it. If I left, took Finn and disappeared, Victor would have no reason to attack. You could negotiate. I would burn the world down to find you, Theron said simply. That's not hyperbole, Ezra. The bond we share, it's not just political or even romantic. It's soul deep. Without you, the dragon in me would go feral. I'd become the monster my father always wanted me to be. Ezra turned to face him. And if staying means watching your kingdom fall? Then we fall together. Theron pulled her close. But I don't think we will. You're forgetting something. What? You're not just an Omega anymore. You're a phoenix who passed the trial of flames. Tomorrow, when Victor brings his armies, he'll learn what that really means. You have a plan? Theron's smile was sharp as a blade. I have you. You're worth 1,000 warriors, my flame. Victor wants to see what a phoenix can do. Let's show him. As dawn approached and the enemy armies drew closer, Ezra felt her phoenix stirring, ready for war. Victor thought love was weakness, that bonds made you vulnerable. Tomorrow they'd prove him wrong. Tomorrow, the phoenix would rise, and anyone who threatened their bond would burn. Dawn came painted in blood and fire. Victor's army surrounded the fortress, a sea of warriors that made the ground itself tremble. But it was the figure floating above them that made Ezra's blood run cold. Is that? Finn whispered from beside her on the battlements. A void witch, Theron confirmed grimly. Victor sold his soul for this war. The witch was ancient, her body wrapped in shadows that moved independently, her eyes pits of absolute darkness. When she spoke, her voice echoed across the battlefield like breaking glass. Surrender the phoenix and I will make your death swift. Counteroffer? Theron called back. Leave now, and I'll only kill half of you. The witch laughed, a sound that made several warriors on both sides collapse, blood running from their ears. Brave words, false king. But your phoenix is newly awakened. Her power is still unstable. She doesn't even know what she truly is. Then educate me. Ezra stepped forward, surprising everyone, including herself. You seem to know so much about phoenix wolves. Tell me what I am. The witch's void eyes fixed on her. You are an abomination, a creature that should not exist. Phoenix wolves were cursed by the moon goddess herself for their pride. Do you know why you can resurrect, little bird? Enlighten me. Because you steal life from others. Every time you heal, every time you rise, you drain the life force from those around you. Your brother, your mate. You're slowly killing them just by existing. Ezra felt ice in her veins. You're lying. Am I? Haven't you noticed Theron growing tired? Finn's increasing weakness? You're a parasite, Phoenix. Beautiful, powerful, but ultimately destructive. Enough, Theron snarled, but Ezra caught his arm. Because there was truth in the witch's words. Theron had been tired lately. Finn had been sleeping more. Was she really draining them? Oh, the little bird is thinking now, the witch crooned. Here's my offer, Phoenix. Come with us willingly. Let us bind your power so you can't hurt anyone else, and we'll spare your loved ones. Refuse, and watch everyone you care about wither and die. You have 1 minute to decide, Victor called out, clearly enjoying this. Choose quickly, Phoenix. Your brother looks particularly pale today. Ezra looked at Finn, who did look pale, then at Theron, whose eyes had shadows that hadn't been there a week ago. The witch was right. She was killing them. Ezra, no, Theron said, reading her expression. Whatever you're thinking. I can't let you die for me, Ezra whispered. Any of you. She started walking toward the gates. Ezra! Theron's roar shook the fortress, but Ezra kept walking. Until Finn stepped in front of her. You're an idiot, her little brother said flatly. And you're also wrong. Finn! Move! I'm protecting you. No, you're being manipulated by a witch who's literally made of lies. Finn pulled something from his pocket. A book, ancient and leather-bound. I've been reading about phoenix wolves since you transformed. You know what I found? Finn dash dash. Phoenix wolves don't drain life, they share it. The exhaustion isn't from being drained, it's from our bodies adapting to shared power. It's temporary. And once the adaptation is complete? Finn grinned. The shared immortality effect begins. Everyone bonded to a phoenix becomes harder to kill, faster to heal. It's different from the myths about consuming phoenix blood for immortality. This is symbiotic, not parasitic. You're not killing us, Ezra. You're making us stronger. The witch's scream of rage confirmed everything. Kill them all! Now! The battle erupted. Victor's forces charged, but something unexpected happened. From the forests, from the mountains, from every direction, the wandering packs arrived. Not the few hundred Theron had hoped for, but thousands. Rogues, outcasts, exiles, all flying makeshift banners with a phoenix emblem. Impossible, Victor snarled. You forgot something, a familiar voice called out. Garrett Ironfang led a contingent of warriors, but not fighting for Victor, fighting against him. Some of us remember what loyalty means. Ezra saved my pack from plague 2 summers ago, before I rejected her. I owe her a debt. More surprises followed. Lord Draven Nightshade turned his forces against Victor. You promised glory, he called to Victor, but all I see is a coward hiding behind dark magic. The battle was chaos, but the real fight was between Ezra and the witch. She attacked with pure void, darkness that ate light, cold that burned worse than fire. Ezra's phoenix flames met her assault, but her power surged and waned unpredictably, still not fully under her control. You're weak, the witch hissed, sending tendrils of shadow to wrap around Ezra's throat. Untrained, unworthy. Ezra struggled, her vision going dark. But then she felt it. Theron through their bond, Finn through their blood, even Garrett through the echo of their broken connection. All of them, pouring strength into her. The witch was wrong. She didn't drain life. She conducted it. Like a symphony of souls, all connected through her. You want to see what a phoenix really is? Ezra asked, her voice harmonizing with itself. We're not destroyers. We're connectors. We take the broken, the rejected, the alone, and we make them whole. She exploded, not with fire, but with light. Pure, brilliant, absolute light that poured from every part of her. The witch's shadows dissolved like mist before the sun. She screamed, her void form beginning to unravel. This is impossible. You're just a baby phoenix. You can't— I'm not just a phoenix, Ezra said, rising into the air on wings made of pure starlight. I'm an Omega who was rejected but refused to break. I'm a sister who would die for family. I'm a mate who chose love over fear. And I'm done letting people like you make others feel worthless. She reached out and touched the witch's forehead gently. Burn, she whispered. The witch erupted in silver flames, but they didn't destroy her. They purified her. The shadows burned away, revealing a woman beneath, ancient and scarred but human. She collapsed, the dark magic that had sustained her for centuries finally broken. The battle below had stopped. everyone staring at the phoenix hovering above them, wings spread wide enough to cast shadows over the entire battlefield. "Victor Frostbane," Ezra called, her voice carrying to every corner of the field. "You came here offering choices. Here's mine for you. Surrender now, accept exile, and live. Continue fighting, and I will burn away everything dark inside you until only truth remains. And somehow, I don't think you'll survive what's left." Victor looked around. His witch was defeated. His allies had betrayed him. His army was outnumbered. And above him hung a phoenix in full glory, backed by an alpha king who looked ready to tear worlds apart. "This isn't over," Victor spat, but he threw down his sword. "The Eastern Reaches will never accept—" "The Eastern Reaches will accept whoever I put in charge," Theron said coldly. "And it won't be you. Exile, Victor. Today. Or I let my Luna finish what she started." As Victor fled with the remnants of his forces, Ezra slowly descended, her wings fading. She was caught by Theron before her legs could buckle. "You magnificent, reckless creature," Theron murmured against her hair. "You were really going to sacrifice yourself." "It's what Omegas do," Ezra said weakly. "We protect. Even when everyone says we're weak." "You're the strongest person I know," Theron said fiercely. "And if you ever try to leave me again, I'll chain you to my throne." "Kinky," Ezra managed, making Theron laugh despite everything. As the sun rose fully, casting gold over the battlefield, Ezra realized something profound. She'd spent her whole life being told she was worthless, rejected, weak. But here, surrounded by rogues who'd come to fight for her, former enemies who'd switched sides for her, and a mate who'd burn the world for her, she finally understood. She'd never been worthless. She'd just been waiting to rise. The coronation was set for the full moon, exactly 1 month after the battle. Ezra stood in the chamber that had once been Theron's alone, staring at the ceremonial robes laid out for her. Black silk interwoven with threads of silver and gold that seemed to move like living flame. The Luna crown sat beside them, a circlet of intertwined silver and obsidian that hadn't been worn in 3 generations. "Second thoughts?" Theron asked from the doorway. "Third and fourth thoughts," Ezra admitted. "I'm a rejected Omega from nowhere. I don't know how to be a Luna queen." "You're no mere queen, my flame. You're a warrior queen who happens to be an Omega," Theron corrected, coming to stand behind her. Through the window they could see the courtyard filling with guests, not just from the northern territories but from all 4 corners of the realm. The wandering packs had been given lands as promised, and their leaders would witness the coronation. Even some former enemies had come to bend the knee. "Lord Garrett requested an audience," Theron said carefully. "He's leaving after the ceremony. Says he wants to apologize properly before he goes." Ezra tensed. "I don't need his apologies." "No, but perhaps he needs to give them. Breaking a mate bond, even incompletely, leaves scars on both sides." Finn burst in without knocking, as had become his habit, interrupting their conversation. "Ezra, there's something you should know." Both of them immediately went on alert. "What kind of problem?" Theron demanded. "The Phoenix Temple sent representatives," Finn said breathlessly. "They say Ezra hasn't completed the final trial." "The final trial was destroyed with the last Phoenix 300 years ago," Theron said. "It doesn't exist anymore." "That's what I thought too," an elderly woman said, entering behind Finn. She wore robes of pure white, marked with the symbol of the Phoenix Temple, keepers of the old ways. "But when young Ezra awakened, the trial reformed. It's waiting for her." "What kind of trial?" Ezra asked warily. She'd had enough of ancient tests. "The trial of truth," the woman said. "You must face yourself. Every version of yourself that could have been, should have been, might still be. Only when you accept all aspects of the Phoenix can you truly claim your power." And if I refuse? Then your power will fade within a year, and you'll return to being a normal Omega, rejected, weakened, alone. Theron growled. She doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It's not about proving, the woman said gently. It's about becoming. The phoenix inside her is still partially dormant. Without the final trial, she'll never reach her full potential. And considering what's coming? What's coming? Ezra demanded. The woman's expression grew grave. The southern territories are in chaos. The eastern reaches are mobilizing again. And there are rumors of something stirring in the void lands, something that hasn't woken in 1,000 years. You'll need your full power, Phoenix. The realm will need it. Ezra closed her eyes. Of course, it was never simple. Where is this trial? The Mirror Lake, at the heart of the Phoenix Temple. But Ezra... The woman hesitated. No one else can come with you. You face this alone. Absolutely not, Theron started, but Ezra touched his arm. When? Now. The trial can only be taken on the day of intended coronation under the full moon. That's in 3 hours. Then I'd better hurry. The Mirror Lake was exactly what it sounded like. Water so still and perfect it reflected everything with impossible clarity. Ezra stood at its shore, alone for the first time in weeks. She stepped into the water and fell through reality. She landed in her childhood home, watching her younger self being rejected by Garrett. But this time, instead of accepting it, this version of Ezra fought back. You're wrong, the other Ezra snarled at Garrett. I'm not weak. You're just too blind to see strength that doesn't look like yours. This Ezra had never been broken. She was proud, fierce, untempered by loss. She looked at the real Ezra with contempt. You let him destroy us. You accepted being worthless. I survived, Ezra said quietly. And surviving when the world tells you you're nothing is its own kind of strength. The scene shifted. Now she stood in the throne room, but in this version, she'd accepted Victor's offer. This Ezra wore chains of gold and shadow, beautiful and terrible, and utterly enslaved. I chose safety, this version whispered. I chose to protect them by sacrificing myself. Isn't that what Omegas do? No, Ezra said firmly. That's what we're told to do. But protecting doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean accepting chains. Another shift. This time she faced a version of herself that had never manifested as a phoenix at all. Still rejected, still weak, but happy. This Ezra lived in a small cottage with Finn, far from kingdoms and wars. We could have been free, this version said sadly. No destiny, no crown, no target on our backs, just peace. But no purpose, Ezra countered. No chance to change things for Omegas like us, no power to protect more than just ourselves. The scene fractured, showing her dozens of versions, Ezra as a tyrant, Ezra as a martyr, Ezra as nothing, Ezra as everything. Each one pulling at her, demanding she choose which version was real. All of them, she suddenly realized, speaking to the lake itself, they're all real. Every choice I didn't make, every path I didn't take, they're all part of me. The Phoenix isn't about being reborn as something new. It's about accepting everything you were, are, and could be. The versions of herself stopped fighting, instead moving toward her, each one merging with her as they touched. The weak Ezra, the strong one, the broken one, the proud one, all becoming one. When the last version merged, Ezra opened eyes she didn't remember closing. She stood still in the mirror lake, but everything had changed. Her reflection showed wings of every color, silver and gold and crimson and shadow. Her eyes held depths that hadn't been there before. She was no longer just a phoenix. She was the phoenix, complete, whole, unbreakable. When she returned to the palace, the ceremony was waiting. As she walked down the aisle toward Theron, wearing the ceremonial robes that now seemed to burn with inner fire, every wolf present could feel the change. This wasn't just an Omega being crowned. This was a force of nature accepting a throne. Theron's eyes blazed with pride and desire as Ezra knelt before him. "Do you, Ezra Night Whisper, Phoenix reborn, accept the crown and responsibilities of Luna Queen of the Northern Territories?" "I do," Ezra said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the very air sing. As Theron placed the crown on her head, Ezra felt the final piece click into place. The rejected Omega who'd knelt for mercy was gone. In her place rose the Luna Queen, Phoenix incarnate, protector of the realm. "Rise," Theron commanded, though his voice was thick with emotion. "Rise and stand beside me." Ezra rose, taking her place at Theron's side where she belonged. The crowd erupted in cheers, but all Ezra could see was the pride in her mate's eyes, the joy in Finn's face, and the future spreading before them. Dangerous, uncertain, but theirs to shape. "Ready to rule, my flame?" Theron murmured. "With you?" Ezra smiled, feeling her phoenix purr with contentment. "Always." As the celebrations began and the moon blessed their union, one thing was certain. The Alpha King who'd once seemed invincible was now truly unstoppable. Because he had his phoenix, and the phoenix had found her dragon. Epilogue. 6 months later. The letter arrived on wings of shadow addressed to the Luna Queen. "The void stirs. The ancient seals weaken. The realm will need its phoenix soon. Be ready. A friend in darkness." Ezra set down the letter, meeting Theron's concerned gaze. "So it begins," she said softly. "Then we face it together," Theron replied, pulling her close. Outside, storm clouds gathered on the horizon. But in the palace of the Northern Territories, the Phoenix's flame burned bright and steady, a beacon of hope for the trials to come. The rejected Omega's story had ended. The Luna Queen's legend had just begun.